Hey, Brittany, how are you?
I'm doing well, thanks. Is that you, Carrie?
Yeah,
Hi.
good to see you. Hey, Heather.
Yeah.
Hello.
I don't usually come to the Flow office hours. This is my first session with you all. So
Okay.
what's the cadence for posting questions?
So ask that again.
Oh, what's the etiquette for posting questions?
Oh, you are able, most of the time you can just unmute and ask your question when the time's available. You can raise your hand. You can ask in the chat. However, any way that works.
Perfect. I'll start writing. Thank you.
Hey, Anthony.
Hi, how are you?
I'm well, thanks.
Good.
All right, so it is 1 o'clock, so we can go ahead and get started. Those of you who don't know me, I'm Terry Miller with Terry's Tidbits. Andy will not be able to join us today. He is on vacation. And so you're stuck with just me, crossing my fingers that I'll know the answers to your questions. We'll find out soon enough. If you are a flow expert and you have answers that can help in the conversation, please feel free to unmute and support the community with your expertise. That is always welcome as well. So the format for how this works is if you have a question, you can raise your hand. There's a small enough number of us that you can just simply unmute. I don't think we're going to step on each other's toes probably if you just unmute and ask away as well. Just a reminder, we do live stream this, so what you are sharing will be publicly visible. So if you can share a flow and do it in a sandbox in a way that de-identifies anything that would get any of us in trouble, you're welcome to do that. Otherwise, we'll try to do our best to support you however we can. So I think that maybe covers everything that I need to say on that side of the house. So let me ask, let's see, Brittany, it looks like you've got a question that you've already thrown in the chat window. So let's go ahead and get started on that. And the question that you have, you can unmute if you'd like, or I can read it either way.
Yes, I mean, I just wrote it down so that way you have something visual to go off of. So
Sure.
first of all, I'm very thankful for these office hours. Thank you, Terry. You always push out like the best content, and I love following Terry's tidbits. So
Thank you.
yes. Okay, so I have a scheduled flow, and I can go ahead and share my screen if you like.
That'd be perfect.
Okay. So I have a scheduled flow. And the original intent of the flow was just to delete email records that were older than 6 months, and that worked just fine. And what I tried to do was add to this scheduled flow to further consolidate unneeded records in our Salesforce database. So the intent is to gather all of the dead leads into a collection,
Okay.
loop through the collection.
And the purpose of our loop is to do what?
Grab all of the tasks on the dead leads so that they can be deleted.
Okay.
And that's where I'm struggling, because when I try to debug this flow, I receive 3 errors. One is an Apex governor limit warning. Okay, all right, so you see the issue.
Yep. All right. So number one rule, and this is kind of the easy way I always say it, is no pink inside of a loop. And so you've got a pink element there with the get records for your tasks on delete or on dead tasks on dead leads. You've got that inside of a loop. And so what Salesforce has to do is for every record that goes into that loop, it has to go make a query call. And there's only so many of those that are allowed before you'll get that error that you're seeing with the too many SQL statements. So my initial question, I guess, so other than the no pink in loops, that's the rule. Are you needing to delete that lead record as well, or just the task associated to it?
Just the task on it.
Okay. Let me think through this just a moment. So what we will let's try something here. And if again, if you're a flow expert and you've got some thoughts on this, please feel free to jump in and help with this. But my initial thought is inside that loop, I'd like to be able to just simply capture, and I'm questioning if I even need that. I want to capture just the lead IDs that we can then query when we get out of the loop, and then delete those records that we find. I don't know if I know in the release notes there is the ability to do what's called on the get, we can do an in, and that would allow us to query records that are a part of a collection. And so we could build our collection inside the loop, query all of those records after we get out of the loop, and then delete them. I don't know that that's available yet. So I'm kind of struggling with an idea that might allow you to do it today without waiting for the next release.
Would sort the collection filter be able to pull that up?
I wonder if that would work, because we could. Let's try. Yeah, so let's try it. Let's try a couple things. First, let's go into let's change the item in the loop, the get that's in the loop. Let's go ahead and delete that guy, because that we know we can't do pink in the loop, and you might have to get rid of a few other things there as well, or that'll work too. Just kind of get it out of the way. So inside here, let's create another assignment. Actually, we may not need another assignment. Let's go into the other assignment one that you've already got first. Double click on that, and that's simply taking dead lead, adding task. Yeah, that by itself I think works. Go ahead and click done. And from your loop, draw a line to that assignment so that you in essence are creating a recursive. Yeah, there you go. All right, and then in the delete records, I want to see if we can do this. Can we dead task on delete? So here you're deleting records you're deleting the actual tasks, right? From
Yeah.
that collection. All right, cancel that for me again. Go back to that assignment that we have. That's the dead task that we're adding that. Oh, that's interesting. That might just work just like that. Again, if you're watching and you're an expert, please let me know if you think I'm missing something. But what I think we will be doing here is we're basically creating a collection of the that's the dead task. Cancel one more time. I want to see one more thing before I make an assumption. Your get records, that's the getting the leads, right?
Correct.
All right, and that's what we're then looping through.
Correct.
Okay. So that then the assignment is task from that delete. We're adding it to a dead task. Task. Oh, yeah, that's wrong. That value isn't, yeah, that's the one we pulled out.
Yeah.
All right. So in the I don't know that we can do this yet. I don't think the technology is quite there.
Yeah, if it needs to wait for the next release, that's okay, because I was struggling with it and the text you need it in.
Yeah, what I'm wanting to try to do in the assignment is I want to create a list of all of the lead IDs. That way I can then do a get call. So and I might even be able to do it with just the delete records one by itself, but I want to then be able to delete task where it would be the what ID on the task record is included in that collection of task IDs. Does that make sense?
Perfect.
It's that statement that is the in. So if you go into your delete records, I'll show you where this is going to be. Actually, we may have to do a get. Sorry, cancel out, and let's pull another get element onto the page. And your object here will be the task object. And so your field is going to be ID. Yep, activity ID. That operator is going to, they're going to have, I'm pretty sure I saw it in the release notes, it will have what's IN, so in, and then your value will be the collection of IDs that we captured through that loop. Does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense. Yes. Okay. So
actually, it's not going to be ID. I totally lied there. It would be the what ID on the field name. It'd be that what ID is what that should be. Okay. And then in the collection. And I think you're going to see that within the next few weeks. That's a nice new feature that's coming. And so I'd probably wait for that, at least if you can. Otherwise, the only other way I know to pull off what you're doing would be to do it by calling an Apex class, which obviously takes a little bit more developer-y type things to pull off.
Well, that's validating that it wasn't like an easy solve.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. You're pushing the limits just a little bit on that, but that's, I think, the approach I would take. And again, if somebody has a better idea, please share it.
I'm just asking. So the collection filter wouldn't work because it was a task versus the other, which was the lead. That's the limitation.
That's what I think.
Okay.
So
okay,
yeah, got
it.
I was thinking that. Yeah, you made me kind of think there for a little bit, but yeah, if you're doing a filtered collection, it's got to be of the same type of object.
Okay.
Or same type of records that are included in your collection.
Okay, cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good question. Did that help? All right, so next up, who is ready with another question? Don, I know you have a question. Anthony, go ahead. I see your hand up.
I'm sure. Thanks, Terry.
Yeah.
So kind of unique interesting scenario for a flow, and I reached out to the Salesforce community to get some input, and I'll put one of the recommendations that they gave me in the chat, so you can see, probably easier than me
Okay.
reading it. But what the scenario is that on our account object we have a record type called member, and
Okay.
we've got our org-wide settings for accounts as public read only, and these accounts are, I guess you could say, like very they're highly confidential, like account records, but they're able to be seen across the entire company. And what the account owners want to be notified about is whenever somebody would attach a file to one of those specific accounts based on that record type. So we tried this a while ago with custom code. The custom code worked, but it caused other errors, so we had to deprecate that code, and we're trying to look for a flow solution. And I reached out to the community, and they gave me some great ideas on how to do that and how to use the start the flow on the account object and use the content document link.
Content document link, yeah.
Yeah, and so I've kind of got that far, but where I'm getting stuck is like, ways to like identify, like on the account record, like when a new file is attached, so then that account owner can then be notified via an email alert, for example.
Yeah, so content document, that whole file structure is a little bit funky. And
What it's got so far.
okay, so number one, based off of what you're saying, I think I would start this from the content document perspective instead of the account, because that's what's going to trigger the flow. Right here, as a record trigger flow, it has to be something that occurred on the account for it to trigger. And what you're looking for is a new document that gets added.
Right.
So trigger it off of the content document. I forget if it's content document link or what the object is, but it's I know it's content documents something, and I'm questioning as well if it's even an option.
Yeah, I'm looking here. It looks like it's not even
That's what I was afraid of.
Yeah, and it's what's interesting too is that I did this get method, and in the get method I was able to
get to
find
it.
the content document link object,
but you can't investigate from it.
Yeah, and then I did the entity ID to look up to the account ID, and I think, well, okay, so then what then would like somehow like trigger or indicate?
That's the problem you're getting from starting off of from the account. Does this have to happen real time?
Ideally, yes. I mean, if there's a way, if there's another option, maybe where it'd be like once a day or something like that. I think I could present that to our business to see if that would be a viable solution.
Yes, let's try this. I don't know if it's going to work, so I could be taking you down a rabbit trail that doesn't work, but let's try it. Because of the limitations of what objects are allowed to be triggered from, I'd like to try a scheduled flow and see if we have visibility to the content document link object that way. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because I think the scheduled flow gives us a little bit more flexibility on some of that, if I'm remembering right.
Gotcha.
So yeah, let's simply try to choose the object there and see if it shows up. Yeah, it does. Okay. So that might be a way to do it, and you could schedule this to run, pretty much whenever you need it to. But that might be an approach that would work for you, because then you could go after the from that point of view, you'd be able to go find your account and then find the owner and shoot off that email or
Gotcha.
where you want to do the notice.
So what you would do then is you would do a, like I said, you put in a condition here, like if it's a new file. I guess here then, okay, so maybe kind of like what I had before is maybe mapping the link entity ID to the
to your account.
Mm-hmm.
To an account, and then you would go get the account record.
You would do a get method to get the account and then filter it by the specific account. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
How many documents are being added in your system at any?
No, I don't think very many.
Okay.
I can't imagine there's very many that are uploaded per day. But I think typically, if somebody, meets with one of these, member accounts and they've got presentations that they want to share or sales data that they want to share, that they'll upload that to the account record. But yeah, I'm not sure how often that.
Okay. Can you go back into the choose object for me?
Sure.
And go ahead and choose the content document.
Okay.
Link this, yeah. And okay. Conditions. On the condition requirements, can you click down on that? I just want to see what's in there. Okay, custom logic is met. So do the custom logic.
Okay.
Oh no, that's not going to do what I was wanting. Let's go back in there again.
Now, if we were to do like none with that would probably, if we were to do none, but then would it work if you still do the get element for the account, or would you need to in the condition link that, try to at least find an account ID and then get the account?
Yeah, do an all. What I'm trying to see if I can figure out is a way for you to get to only have this fire on new records.
Right.
That and then once you get in fact, it'd be even better if we could identify that it was on the account object that it's related to even.
Right.
And I think what it's doing here is just showing us fields. This is another, some of these allow us to filter based off of a formula. It doesn't look like I've got that capability on a scheduled flow.
Gotcha.
And that's what I was looking for, is that whether or not I could pull that off. So you may have to have none and then let it run for all, but then one of the first things that you want to do in the flow itself is to validate, is this document new? So is new, and is it related to an account?
Gotcha. Okay.
That way you're exiting out if it doesn't meet your criteria.
That makes sense. Okay.
I think I would take that kind of an approach anyway and see if I could make some progress that way.
Okay. I will give that a try. Great.
Yeah. But that I think should work. That should work.
Okay. Great. I will give that a try. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Very cool. And again, if anybody has any better thoughts, feel free to jump in. There's almost always multiple ways to do these things. And so always open to different ideas, and I know there are a lot of people way smarter than me with flow that so if you happen to be one of those, please share your wisdom. All right, next question. Who's up?
I have a question.
Go ahead, Heather.
I am trying to deal with archiving leads that are not updated by the users for 45 days, and then I notify them in 45 days, and then I change the status to archive at 60 days. When Pardot sends out an email, it updates the lead modified date.
Oh, yeah.
So I saw that there was lead history. Is there a way I can make it so I can get a timestamp of when it's not that field being updated? Does that make sense? Because
Pardot's updating a specific
B2BMA
field.
updates a specific field when
Mhm.
Pardot sends out an email. And that's where I can find that, but I can't figure out how to make a timestamp.
So you're wanting to kind of have your own custom last modified date, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Yeah. That should be doable. So I guess
Is
what
that
I
done
would,
through the lead history or just?
well, I think I would just create a custom field for last modified. And I'm thinking out loud. So again, if this is a dumb idea, somebody please stop me. But I would create a custom last modified field, and I would do a before record trigger flow. And I would check to see if that field in question that Pardot updates, if the before value of that field is different than the current value of that field,
Okay.
don't update your custom last modified date. Otherwise, if it's anything else that gets changed, then you would update your last modified date, and you could potentially leverage that then for your archiving.
Okay. And
Does that
then,
make sense?
yes, it very much does. Is there a way then to add to that? If they do, because they're doing activities. So they're logging a call or something like that, but it's not modifying the lead.
So there is a last activity date on the
Okay.
lead object, that you should be able to leverage. As long as the activity is closed, it should update that last activity date field on your lead.
Okay. Okay. So I'll make sure that they're completing that. Okay. I kind of thought that, but I didn't know it was the closed because occasionally when they create a thing, it's not showing
Yeah,
up.
that's why I think it does. There are rules for when that last activity date gets populated, and you might check the help and training on that.
Okay.
I know closed task will do it. But there may be some other nuances there that would be important to understand.
Okay. So if you're logging a call, that makes a completed task right away.
Yeah, it should.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Because I'm just like, how do I do this?
I hope I'm going to check real quick just to make sure that I'm right on that there is a last activity date on the lead object.
Pretty sure I saw it there.
I'm pretty sure it is too. I just don't want to lead you astray either. Last activity date is maybe not. Let me look one other place. Almost there. Just a moment. Lead. Yeah, last activity date, it is there.
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah, so you should be good. The
All right.
value.
Yeah, because I was going down a rabbit hole of that lead history and it wasn't.
Yeah,
I
those
didn't
are
think
those
about
history.
the prior.
Yeah, the history objects are kind of a pain in the butt if you're trying to do logic off of them. They're nice. They create a nice visual of what's changed for a human to look at it, but it's a little bit more of a challenge for a computer to try to figure out some of that logic. it's doable, but I'd avoid it if I could.
Done. All right. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Kind of following up on that,
Yeah.
I've also noticed that anytime I even just open up a lead and look at it, it changes the last modified date. And it's not, I don't even change anything. And I don't know if that's a setting that I've got somewhere. So I can never use that last modified date.
Do you have any integrations that might be hitting it?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
That-
That's where they all come from, the integration.
That's probably what's happening there, Donna.
Okay.
Probably.
I'm thinking it might be connected to that user read or user unread. Also, that might, if you are the owner of that lead, maybe that
I
is
am.
doing
Yep,
something.
I am. Yeah, that could be it. You're right. I never thought about that. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks, Terry.
Nice. Nice. Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for helping with that question there too.
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
Donna,
well,
you ready?
my question's broad and big. And so because I'm just such a newbie to flows, and every time I think I'm getting a little bit of a handle, then Salesforce comes up with something new and changes my whole thought process. So, but I would love to see some workflows that are good, done, that are, I guess, a little more complex, that shows the idea of one flow per object, but yet there are many, if you want to say, little mini flows attached to it, like the before and after triggers, and all of those different kind of things. Just trying to grasp, if I've got, like, in my mind, business use cases, and then how can you make flows work to make that business process more streamlined? And it's like, does that mean every object that it uses has its own individual flow, or do you have one flow that kind of runs the whole process? It's a big question.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
don't
Well, and it's one that we get, I think, every month. And
really. Okay.
My personal philosophy has changed over time on this one. And I'm in the camp now of doing an individual flow per task that I want to accomplish. So I've moved away from putting them all in a common flow back to separating them out. The reason that I fall into that camp is because Salesforce has given us now the ability to control the order in which our flows execute on the record trigger side.
Okay.
So with that capability, and the fact that they also have given us the I always have to look to find the name, the Flow Trigger Explorer.
Yeah.
That gives us really the tools to be able to visualize what's happening on a given object. I also, the other reason now that I like it separate is that it allows me to use my entry criteria into the flow, so that if my criteria doesn't evaluate to true, then I never even bother going into the flow. And so I gain some efficiency by not loading that flow up. I'm it's almost like I'm just waving at it to see if it's something that I need to do. And if it doesn't meet the criteria, I exit before I ever even have to load the thing and go in to evaluate decision elements within the flow, or to get any other data.
I think that's a question that I needed answering, because as I was thinking about, the complex flows, then it's like it has to run everything. It has to run through everything that's built upon that object.
Yeah, you'd be basically creating a flow that looked a lot like Process Builder and all the inefficiencies that we had with Process Builder. Yeah.
All right.
And so that's my personal take. Am I going to slap somebody's hands for combining them into one? Probably not, but I think there are efficiencies of going separate.
So then using the tool to, transfer all like the workflows into a flow is not a bad idea. I mean, I've seen it, you use it and then they say, don't use it. And now, so it's still.
I will tell you, almost everybody in the community that I've talked to that I have a high opinion and trust in will all tell you the same thing as it comes to that conversion, the migrate to flow tool. Don't use it.
Okay.
In one of our user groups here in Des Moines, probably 3 or 4 months ago, I did an in-depth dive into that migrate flow. I don't know if you were a part of that one, Donna, or not, but it should be up. It's probably on my YouTube channel. I would imagine. There's so many gaps in that as far as what it will convert and what it won't, that it was almost worthless. I hate to say that because I know Salesforce probably put a ton of effort into it, but there's only so much it can do.
Okay.
And so I would take advantage of the opportunity to evaluate what you have going on inside of all of your current automations, your process builders and workflows, determine whether or not you still need it. If it's technical debt, don't bother even converting it.
Yeah.
That would be my advice to you.
Okay.
I'm not a fan of the migrate tool. It's kind of like when we went from classic to lightning, and it was such a shift that it was a great time to kind of reevaluate how we were doing things, and we were able to redesign things smarter. And because of that opportunity, I think this is one of those as well, where it's an opportunity to do things smarter.
Okay.
So I would not use the migrate. I would take the time to review what you have for workflow rules and process builders, manually create the ones that are still needed in flow.
Okay.
Individual flows with entry criteria, and control the order of where you want your flows to run. And on that, one thing, note there on the order, don't order them 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Order them more like 10, 20, 30, 40, so that next month when you need to insert a new one or create a new flow, you've got some room in between those numbers.
Okay. I remember that. Okay.
Yeah. I think that was a Jen Lee tip, which I thought was great. I think that's a super, super smart thing. Otherwise, you're going to be renumbering them over and over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. And does that numbering system have connection to it per object, or is there like contacts have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5?
Yes.
Accounts have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you should, when you're building a contact set of flows, you should do 10, 20, 30 for that one as well. Then. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Each object has its own count.
Got it. Yep.
Even with that, I think Diana Jaffe kind of made the statement that the trigger explorer of doing the drag and drop. They brought that in because the numbers were like extra complicated, and with the drag and drop on the trigger explorer, you don't actually have to worry as much about your numbers.
Great. That's a great suggestion. Yeah.
And if you want to see a heated debate, yesterday's automate this was about the one flow per object or separating them. And it's just kind of funny as these are,
yeah, I know,
well-known faces, and they're kind of like just debating it. And so it's kind of
it is a fun debate to have. And I'm on the camp that I am, just because I don't want the overhead of the flow even running if I don't need it. And so if I can't do it through an entry criteria, if I can't stop what I'm doing, then I might have a different opinion, because I got to go into the flow one way or the other at that point. But if I can stop the thing from running, I'd rather stop it from running.
Okay, good. Thank you.
What was, Heather, was that you? What was some of the arguments again for a single flow?
Oh,
I'm curious.
For being able to direct your users to like one spot, you can do a debug and see everything that's affecting you
Mhm.
versus if another flow is affecting that flow, you might not get that full detail.
True.
Which is
That's
something I've hit, and I could understand
Yep.
that one.
Yep.
But
That's a valid argument.
yeah, then somebody else said, well, then put subflows and you'll get all of that. And,
Yeah.
so it's kind of hit the gamut there. And they were
Yeah.
very pretty flows to look at, but
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Because you can make your flow basically look like a process builder if you want to. And one of the arguments that I had early on for doing that is I just like to visually see it all. But then they came out with the Flow Trigger Explorer, and it kind of poo-pooed my one reason for having a single flow. So yeah, it's interesting. I think you will probably find people debate that indefinitely for a while. Indefinitely for a while. That was pretty clever wording. That was like a yes, no kind of thing.
it'll be that fun debate to throw out at the table of a bunch of flow
Yeah.
makers.
Yeah.
See where everyone lands.
Yeah, that would be kind of interesting. Which I should do a Twitter question on that and see how many people fall into which camp, one flow or many. That would be interesting. I might just do that. All right, good questions. Any other questions? RC or Leonard, do you got anything that are you just kind of wanting to learn a little bit as we go?
I'm here just to learn a little
No.
bit, by hearing
No
other
problem.
people, you get to know more use cases. So
Excellent. Yeah, very good. Very good.
Same here. I'm just learning and kind of new. I actually saw you at Midwest Streaming, and
Oh, good.
so I was, had some great content, and so I'm now a
Good.
follower.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'll be at Dreamforce as well this year. So that'll be fun. So if you're headed to Dreamforce, you'll have to come see me there. That'll be a lot of fun. Looking forward to that. I was actually working on that presentation earlier today. So that'll be kind of fun.
What are you presenting, Terry?
This one will be, if you saw my Midwest Streaming presentation, which I don't have it up on YouTube yet, but yeah, I should get it up there maybe this afternoon. I don't know. I'll do it soon. But it's fundamentally flow. So at Midwest Streaming, I submitted two different presentations. I submitted the From Process Builder to Lightning Flow, which is the one where I compare Process Builder. Here's how you did it in Process Builder to here's how you do the same thing in Flow. So I did that is one presentation, and then I sent Fundamentally Flow, which really focuses more on some of those new concepts that for admins that are getting into Flow, things like what's a variable, how do you do loops, those concepts that maybe are a little new, that feel a little bit more like a developer-y type thing. So that's what Fundamentally Flow is. At Midwest Streaming, they wanted me to do both of the presentations, but they wanted it all in one session. So I was going 100 miles an hour, moving through all of it in one 45-minute session. So at Dreamforce, it's going to be Fundamentally Flow. So it's going to be the latter half of what I did at Midwest Streaming, and I'm going to slow it down, add a little bit more content to it, and hopefully it'll be a little easier to digest for people that are in the audience. So yeah, it should be fun. That's the one where we talk about drawers, dresser drawers. We talk about the deck of cards, where I use that to illustrate loops and the game Slapjack. That's the Fundamentally Flow one, if you remember some of that from the presentation in Midwest Streaming.
Yep, that was the one I was at.
Yeah.
kind of off topic, but have you heard how many people are registered to go to Dreamforce yet?
I thought I had heard that they were limiting it to 30,000, but registration's still open.
Oh, okay.
I'm kind of surprised that it's still open.
Yeah.
If it was going to be that low of a count, but I don't know, Donna. I kind of wondered that myself.
Well, maybe now since they finally announced who is going to be the entertainment for the
Yes.
yes, more
Yeah.
people will join. I don't know.
Yeah, the entertainment is not Terry.
Yeah.
Although I have fun, but yeah, Red Hot Chili Peppers will be there. Are you anybody going?
I'm registered.
No.
Are you registered to go? Yeah, in person.
Yes.
Nice, nice, very good. RC, was that you that said you were going as well?
No, I'm not. I'm not
No.
going.
Okay. Well, you guys will have to watch online at is it Salesforce Plus? I think is what they call it. I don't think my session's going to be presented on there though. It sounds like it's just a select group of sessions that will be done online, so or streamed live anyway. It's like
You're going to put it on your YouTube channel or something?
I will. Oh, yep. I will have a camera there recorded. Yeah, you have to. If you're doing YouTube, you almost have to do it. Otherwise, you're creating fresh content all the time. It's like that's all you would do, and you can't get anything else done. So yeah, camera follows me, just for that reason.
Looking forward to that.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Well, cool. Any other questions that any of you have, or since we've got 15 minutes, it can be flow related or non-flow related. I'll see what I can do to help in the next 15 minutes. If not, we can either chat or we can go ahead and call it good for today.
Thanks, Terry. Happy Friday.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
I'm going to drop off too.
All right,
Thanks,
guys.
Terry.
Thank you all. Have a great rest of your
Thank
day.
you.
All right.